Lots of cuts are in, but the battles continue. Whose job is on the line this week in Mammoth Training Camp? Plus, Sparkle's hockey draft is in the books. We'll talk about it.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in once again to Locked On Mammoth. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño, and together we bring you the Locked On Mammoth podcast each and every single day during the week. Thanks for making us your first listen when it comes to the Utah Mammoth hockey team. Robyn, cuts are in. We're going to go over the cuts here today. We're going to tell you who is headed to Tucson, headed to Junior, but more importantly, jobs are on the line this week as we go over the remaining battles in Mammoth Training Camp here, week 2, the regular season, just about a week away. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Okay, Robyn, we are going to talk later about Sparkle's hockey draft. It was a great draft. My team is going to dominate, and I have all the time in the world for that all season long. But the team on the ice that we cover, the Utah Mammoth, we need to talk about that. And why don't we just go ahead and start by rattling off the cuts here. The following players assigned to the Tucson Roadrunners of the American Hockey League: Owen Allard, Michael Kuntz, Sam Lipkin, Julian Lutz, Mikko Matika, and Noel Nord. And defenseman Artem Duda, Montana Onyebuchi, and Maximilian Zuber. Also, these players have been released from their tryout agreements and going to Tucson: Maxim Barbashev, Ryan McGregor, Austin Pagansky, Jack Ricketts, Ty Tulio, Sammy Walker, Leighton Moore, goaltenders Dryden McKay and Dylan Wells, and Caleb Desnoyers back to Moncton in the Quebec Major Junior, or the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. Robyn, any surprises for you on that list? I've got one guy.
Ooh, you do have one guy, and I feel like we kind of agreed on it to an extent. Artem Duda, I knew I had a feeling he was going to get sent back. However, I didn't expect it to be in this round. I thought he was going to survive a little bit longer.
You know, this is how long we've been doing the show, folks. Robyn knows who my person is, okay? The everydayers also probably guessed who my person was, because I was kind of high on Duda coming into this training camp. You're right. I'm pretty surprised that Duda's not sticking around at least to the end of camp to get a longer look. Now, Robyn, that means probably better things for some of the remaining players. Was there anybody else on that list that may have caught your attention? Certainly some, I guess, no-brainer, no surprises there. But, I mean, anybody that you thought, I thought that guy would have stuck around a little longer?
Not really a whole lot, to be honest. I feel like a lot of them were expected because, as we talked about, there's not a whole lot of room, and they want to focus on making sure the Roadrunners are built for their as much success as possible. And I think, and that's why we saw all the AHL cuts. The junior cuts are going to happen a little bit later, right? Because they can kind of report a little bit later here. But the AHL cuts, because Roadrunners training camp starts tomorrow when everyone's listening to this. So on September 30th is when Roadrunners training camp begins, and with where both the Roadrunners and the Mammoth are, they want to make sure these guys are as ready as possible for both their AHL and NHL seasons, because the Roadrunners, they feel a little bitter taste in the mouth after not getting a good enough run, like a deep that they wanted in the Calder Cup this last year. So,
It's interesting. Go ahead. Sorry.
I said they want to be able to finish what they started.
Yeah, and I mean, losing to the eventual champion, and really, I mean, Abbotsford kind of went through the playoffs like a hot knife through butter, but Tucson put up a fight. McKay and Wells are the goaltenders going down, so that means they are going to give kind of that extended 4-guy look right now. Of course, there's the Connor Ingram question, which we can get into here a little bit later on in the show, but Robyn, I got to talk about the remaining camp battles here because there's some names that are not on that list that I think are kind of interesting. And I want to start off, I think, talking about the rookies, right? Because Tisha Ginla, we expected to still be there. And the two Russians, so Boot is the forward I want to talk about. Let's talk about the forwards, by the way, just to focus this. And then Cole Beaubois, who I thought looked great at rookie camp, then looked not so good, or sorry, at summer dev camp, didn't look so good at rookie camp, but now I think looks better again. So those three, I feel like could be in the mix. And with some injuries still going on up front, there might be room. Like Kerfoot is still week to week. Kerfoot, I think there's a door open there. It's a third line door, but there's definitely an opportunity.
There definitely is an opportunity, and I think that's kind of what makes it interesting is seeing all those and see how they go and see where they go. I've been paying attention, Tom, to where some of these players are been playing along lines. And I'm giving credit to where the credit is due to the person who actually posts the lines every single time. Brogan Houston of Deseret, out posting lines every time he attends a training camp practice. And this one was as soon as this was Saturday morning posting the lines. Where it was, Keller, Schmaltz, and Gunther at the top with Kraus, Baudouin, and Carconi, Yamamoto, Stenlin, Tanev, Iginla, Smith, and Boot, Hebig, McCartney, Douglas, with O'Brien, Agazzino being extras there. But they're really testing out and seeing, all right, where do these players fit? And seeing seeing Baudouin center Kraus and Carconi, that makes me interested, Tom. That makes me very interested and makes me think, okay, they have something brewing here.
Well, also two names that you mentioned in there in lines 3 and 4 were Carconi and then Yamamoto, two guys I also want to talk about because I think they're definitely in the mix to find some playing time. And of course, another question mark is obviously how healthy is Liam O'Brien. I know that, he's kind of maybe getting close for full contact and giving it a go and everything. And but again, you're missing. So hopefully you're getting Cooley and McBain back relatively soon. You're still going to be without Kerfoot for a while. Like there's opportunities here. But Robyn, to your point about the Lions, it is interesting to see who they're giving the opportunities to where.
And I think that that's what I like to pay attention to is who exactly are they pairing these guys with? Who are they? It shows a couple of things, Tom, and it shows that we know who these players because it intrigues me when I saw that because you're putting Cole Baudouin on a physical line. Okay, that makes sense, right? Because Baudouin can do that. He plays center. He has a pretty decent defensive mind as a rookie. So it's like, okay, I think it can work multiple different ways.
Because you had Inla, Smith, and who was that on essentially a fifth line?
Boot. That was actually the fourth. That was actually the fourth line.
Okay.
With the fifth line being Hebig, McCartney, and Douglas.
That's it.
And O'Brien and Agazzino being extra pair of skaters.
Gotcha. And I mean, we talked about McCartney. Now there's a guy who a little bit of a surprise, but he's been sticking around. Now that was someone I thought might have been in the first wave of send downs to Tucson for the Roadrunners opening training camp this week. No,
McCartney's played well through a couple of these preseason games.
Yeah, it definitely made an impact. Like I said, a literal physical impact. Yes,
he's getting rewarded for playing well, for playing what he's supposed to. Get that physical aspect. How many times have we beat that drum, Tom, about talking about why Bill Armstrong highlights physical players?
Yeah, I mean they can add a lot to your team, and I mean it. I don't think you can win in the playoffs without being physical.
That is a pure. By the way, that's a pure checking line.
Yes.
Cam Hebig, Ben McCartney, and Curtis Douglas. That is a checking line. That's an old school enforcer line.
Yes, that is run around, act like 3 pinballs out there on the ice, make things happen, stir the pot. That's a hard 45 seconds to play against. I can tell you that. Robyn, let's get inside these battles. Let's kind of take a look. We also want to talk about the defense, what's going on that side of the coin as well. So let's take a look specifically at where maybe we think we'll start up front, but again, where these players may fit in come the regular season. And today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. You know, most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all in one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch Money is built for people with busy lives. If you've been putting off organizing your finances, Monarch Money is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. It helps you with things like maximizing your investments, increasing your savings rate, easily reviewing your finances with your partner or with your financial advisor. And it helps you keep a clear view of your financial health, not only week to week, but also long term. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use our code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with our code LOCKEDONNHL. All right, Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño here, and Locked On Mammoth. Hey, if you like what you see, you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. Hit that like button if you're on the YouTube side. Tell your friends about the podcast. That helps us too. Every comment, every interaction, every share of an episode goes a long way towards getting us a bigger audience, getting us in front of more people, talking more hockey, and it just enables us to do more cool things. Robyn, I know we are hopefully going to have something to announce at the end of the week, maybe, as far as some upcoming plans.
We're getting closer. The best thing I will say, and this is go without giving anything, but it's gonna be an amazing way for us to grow this show and for you guys to get an opportunity to be a part of it. And that's all I'll say.
I can't believe Robyn's giving away $1 million. It's crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I not supposed to say that?
Yeah, you know, obviously I have $1 million to give away. You know, podcast money. It's great.
Oh, it's incredible. It's just a boon, folks. Everybody start a podcast right now. It's all you ever dreamed it was. No, seriously, we do love doing the podcast, and we do thank you for being a part of it here. So when you do subscribe, it really does help to just, you know, sometimes gives us a little pat on the back and lets us know we're doing the right thing, talking about the right stuff. So, okay, Robyn, the training camp battles. Let's realistically project, because I don't know this, but I feel like the team should be okay at center by the time opening night rolls around, but will be without Kerfoot. And of course, barring anything stupid happening this week and more injuries, which could happen. Hopefully not. I will knock some wood for that. But I think that's probably what we're looking at, right? Is someone to step into Kerfoot's role, which means some tough bottom 6 minutes and some penalty killing responsibilities are available.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that's what's going to be interesting. And we've talked time and time again, Tom. You and I have kind of debated for example, of like Tisha Ginla, right? Does he deserve to get, or should he get bottom 6 minutes when the season comes around, and should he take that spot in, or do you just save him for top 6 minutes? And you and I have talked about that. I have been on the train where we're like, you give him whatever minutes you can, give him NHL playing time, because that's going to make the difference, even if it is just for that 9 games that he can play before the first official year of his ELC kicks in. It's like, do whatever you can. Give him his time. Give him as much of a look as you want. If it's bottom 6 minutes, fine. If you want to rotate him up with Hayton or whatever, cool. Just give him those minutes, Tom.
It's kind of interesting that both guys from that first round what is now 2 years ago are kind of coming to their own at about the same time, and
Hmm.
and both of them really, honestly, could get a look in
They
that same spot.
Yeah, and they both, and I think because they both have a unique talent in certain aspects, right? I've talked about the way that that Ginla actually goes out and forces his way in, and it has just a great offensive mind, and it's very clear that he's fighting for a spot. But you've heard me talk about praising Cole Baudouin's defensive defensive mind, and sometimes when you're looking at specifically a center, having a center who has that good of a defensive mindset and defensive vision makes so much of a difference.
You know, there's a couple of guys we haven't talked about yet. We did talk about McCartney briefly, but what about Hebig and Agazino?
Hmm.
They're kind of interesting, right? I mean, Hebig was second on the Roadrunners in scoring last year. Um, just works hard, can chew up a lot of minutes. Obviously, McCartney's a different kind of game, and then there's Agazino, who has had a lot of NHL time. He's that tweener, right?
Right?
He's that guy on the
They're
forwards.
they're what we call that quadruple. These are the quadruple A players, we like to call them. They're
Yeah.
like right there in between. They're like so good. We have Tucson in the AHL, but they might get a cup of coffee every now and then. They kind of move it up and down.
Without an injury, as things stand, though, I Carconi and Yamamoto to me are probably the two guys vying for the extra forward spot in my
Hmm.
mind when
Yeah.
healthy, when everybody's healthy. Let's be clear.
Yes.
Um, do these guys enter the picture of the conversation at all? Ahead of the kids we just talked about, ahead of anybody else in a realistic sense?
Well, because it's interesting you mentioned that because I didn't really think too much about Yamamoto. I mean, I love Yamamoto, and I feel like but I feel like he's kind of found his place as the extra. Carconi, though, I think has a chance, but here's the kicker. Carconi's a winger. I don't think Carconi is best used as a center. I feel like he has to be a winger, but you have to find him where on the wing to fit him because the wings seem to be pretty set. There's the center depth that they need that they're trying to shuffle in and out. Because we talked about Kerfoot being out, and we don't know how long. But we'll have to see.
I think if I'm going to grade them right near, if I'm going to put them in tiers, you know how everybody puts them in tiers on different video game things or whatever. I think that right now, for my tiers, the guys who are S tier for me have probably been Carconi and Yamamoto. I
Mm-hmm.
think Baudouin and Iginla are A tier. Boot is a B
Fair.
tier. McCartney is a
Yeah.
B tier. Hebig and Agazino, I think they're all B tier after that. So Gabe Smith is probably in the C. Douglas is probably in the C. I don't know that that's long shot territory for me, but
Yeah.
um, I mean, those are my S tier guys, and they're the veterans, right? So I feel like the younger
I mean,
players,
because you expect them, you expect that much from them.
yes. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I do.
I mean, especially Carconi, right? Because we've talked so many times about how Carconi needed to have a huge step up. He needed to like as much as the his return was a bit of a head scratcher. This is his opportunity to prove it. It is a massive prove it year for him. So if he
Yeah.
wasn't an S tier in the preseason, then he's not going to get a shot properly.
I think I would agree with that. Let us know in the comments, by the way, what you think. Where do you stand on this? What do you think for the guys? Robyn, I still want to talk about the defense. It's not as up in the air, really. We talked about this on previous shows, but there is a seventh spot up for grabs here. So we're going to discuss that. And we're going to talk about the Sparkles Hockey League draft. It's in the books. Tom will dominate.
And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put $5 down, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the whole app. FanDuel has always been my choice to go when it comes to betting on sports. It's got so many different options from building parlays, player props, as live games. it really just makes things just that much more fun. I'm a fantasy football person, so I will go out and play fantasy football, and then I will double down on my players and do the same thing on FanDuel. Plus, I'll maybe mix and match. Maybe I'll have the emotional connection, and I'll say, "Hey, the 49ers are going to win." Maybe they're gonna go with whatever. It's just the best way to have that much more of an elevated game day experience with those football game days. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today to get started.
Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño. This is Locked On Mammoth. We appreciate you joining us here each and every single weekday here as we work our way towards the NHL season. 1 week left on the Mammoth schedule as we take a look ahead. Games Tuesday, that game's in Idaho. Thursday at home, the actual home preseason debut against the Kings at 7. Sharks on Saturday at 6. And then that's it. Preseason's done. And they kick it off on the road against the Avalanche, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, Thursday, October 9th. A reminder, on the 2nd at 11 a.m., be at the Delta Center team store if you want your jersey. If you're buying Robyn, a Sparkles 91, I'm just saying you got to be there then. So I think they're going to go quick, but it's adult sizes only, 11 a.m., so keep that in mind. Robyn, let's talk defense if we can. You and I have said for a while, the top 6 is set. Do you still feel the top 6 is set?
I do. I feel like the top 6 is set. Oh my goodness!
Easy for you to say.
I was like, I don't know why the words weren't coming out quick there. What they're testing now, what they've been testing, is the actual pairings and seeing who fits where. They are testing a couple of guys, seeing where they might fit. Maverick Lamoureux is getting a little bit more of a look. I feel like he's lasting a little bit longer. He did not get sent down in the last round of cuts, so I feel like he's maybe trying to fight for a spot to see if he can fit his way in there. But that's what we're seeing for the most part. I talked about how I saw the forward lines from Brogan Houston. I'll even put out the defensive pairs that he had set for those with Sergachev and Marino, Dursey with Cole, Schmidt with Lamoureux, Sergachev with Perunovic, and DeSimone as the 17th man in this scenario.
And DeSimone is a guy who I think has been such an incredibly pleasant surprise. I love Nick DeSimone.
Just a great waiver wire pickup. I thought that was an amazing waiver wire pickup earlier this year.
So solid. But the competition is there now. And the guys that we're kind of looking at, Sergachev, I think, came in with the most hype, but I don't think has been the best of the rest, if you will.
Right.
You know who the guy is who has me most curious? And I'm going to need to see him again this week because we saw Lamoureux last year. We know what he can do, but I am super, super interested to see Perunovic some more. Could he be a surprise sneak into the defensive lineup guy?
It would be an interesting one. It would be very interesting. I mean, I have for the longest time. I mean, for some reason in my head, I've only seen him spend most of the year in Tucson. That's kind of what I projected. And it's not against him. It's just to me, just where I foresee everybody else on the defensive squad. It just seems to me it's just that deep, right? It's just that deep. It's going to be very hard to break into it, and that's what we've been talking about, right? How hard it is. Like we're talking about a fight for a single spot.
Yeah,
the 7th D-man spot.
And of course, as it always is, barring injuries. And I think you and I also kind of called it wasn't going to be a Dursey Sergachev pairing up top. I think that was fun to think about, but at the end, it's too much of the same thing.
The top 4 I'm seeing here: Sergachev, Marino, Dursey, Cole. I love that.
Well, because Dursey then can fly, because Cole is absolutely going to look after his own end and be responsible.
Yeah, Cole's your shutdown guy. You need the pair right? You need your puck moving guy alongside your shutdown guy. That way you have a guy hanging back.
Here's the other interesting thing about that. Honestly, I mean, you can list Sergachev as the top pair because he's the highest paid guy on the team. Honestly, my first pair in that scenario is the Dursey pair. because I think
Yes.
that they are the ones who will take the tough minutes against the top lines. Because Dursey, to me, I've said this before already last week, he's looked really good on both ends of the ice in camp. I really like his game right now. I have no problem putting him out there against the other team's number one line.
Yeah. Of course, as I'm looking at here, Mata did not in that last practice, but I feel like he's gonna fit probably where Lamoureux was put maybe alongside Schmidt. I think, but again, that just shows you what this is what training camp is, right?
I'd put Mata and Dursey together, I think, for me, and then I have the old man, the gray beard pair of Schmidt and Cole. I just to keep the minutes down. Here's the thing, though, is Cole has shown he can still munch those minutes as recently as last year. Now, at some point, Father Time is undefeated, right? And Cole's not going to be able to eat all of that time. Oli Mata's a little younger, but Mata, remember when they first picked him up, they had no choice. They threw him right into the fire, 22 minutes in his first game, and didn't bat an eyelash. So I think that you do well if Mata's healthy and ready to go with Dursey, and then you have the gray beard pairing, and then maybe you rotate in a D Simone or one of those guys. But it's telling that they're giving Lamoureux a nice long look there. Again, I Perunovic, and look, GMBA is high on Simashev and Boot, but he's high on Simashev, and he wants to see what he can do. They have to make an adjustment, though, to the North American game and the smaller ice and everything that goes along with it, and I think they're better suited to doing that in Tucson.
It, I think so as well, and it's a nice it just gives them a lot more opportunity to grow. That's why the AHL exists, right? It's a developmental league. It allows them to just kind of really focus on, growing their game and doing whatever. And you and I have praised the Tucson development staff and the coaches in Tucson for as doing as well as they've done for the last 10 years. The current head coach of Tucson, by the way, Steve Potvin, he has been a coach. He was an assistant coach before, but he has been a coach with the Tucson Roadrunners since they started in Tucson, Tom.
Yep, love Potsy. Just a superhuman being, just fantastic individual,
He's so
and a
nice
darn
to
good
everyone
coach.
too, by the way. He's
He
so
really
nice to
is.
everybody.
Really is. He's just, I mean, if you're having a bad day, you want to talk to him because you'll feel better after you do. So, all right, Robyn, and folks, let us know in the comments again what you think. How would you, kind of divvy out the D? What would you do for pairings? Feel free to throw those down there as well with your line combinations. But, Robyn, I want to talk about the Sparkles hockey draft. Not because I have the team that's going to win the championship, but I'm just still impressed that we got 16 teams. The league packed up really, really fast. It was a 17 round draft. And you know what? Everybody was pretty much on top of it. And most people, I think, stayed for the whole thing. And you know what? For our first go round at a fantasy hockey league, it's pretty impressive. So thank you very much to everybody who's participating.
Oh yeah, no, I think it was a really well done draft, and I feel like it really goes to show, based off how the draft went, that in our league we got some pretty darn good hockey fans.
We
We got
really
people who
do.
act like because it's like they're not just making the emotional pick. They're not just making the ones that they think that they're like, I'm just gonna do it just because. We didn't see that. Like I saw some pretty insane strategy here, and it was like it made for some tough goings. And I know, Tom, for you, I mean, you had 150 picks in between picks. 100.
I know. You will pick again in an hour and a half. Okay, great. Thanks. But Robyn, there were literally, I'd be a pick or two away from wanting to take someone, and someone would
Yeah,
snatch that player off my plate. And so
yeah.
it just shows that
By the
people are thinking about,
yeah.
on
For
a deeper
reference,
level.
for the reference, by the way, guys, because like the actual draft board wasn't public, but Tom had the 15th pick in our snake draft, so he picked 15th, and then second in the second round, and then so on. But like it,
Yeah.
and that was right in the middle. I picked 10th, so it allowed
15th out of 16 teams. That was fantastic.
So it allowed me to do added strategy. Which, by the way, like when I picked 10th, by the way, Tom, the fact that Mikko Rantanen fell to me at 10th overall, I thought he was gonna go much earlier. I'm not sure what people, like where that was going, but I was like, you know what? I'll take it. I will absolutely take Mikko Rantanen on my first round pick.
Yep, there you go. The interesting thing for me is being that low is in a snake draft, it goes back and forth. So I don't pick for an hour, and then I have to make 2 picks in 15 seconds. So, and then I just hang out for a while. So that it's kind of interesting. You really do have to have your players all queued out in front of you. But yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a fun draft. It's a deep league. Should be a lot of fun. I'm thankful we didn't go to 20 teams because
imagine?
you would have been
Yeah.
picking up scraps at the end. So yeah, that worked out. But no, it's good. It'll be a lot of fun. And those who are participating, and if you're not, and you want a spot next year, maybe we'll end up doing one. Who knows? Maybe it'll get so big. There'll be the Robin Sparkles League, and then we'll have to have the Tom League, running on the other side. I don't know how we'd ever figure that one out, but it'd be like completely rival NHL and WHA going head to head. But it might be the way we could in the future expand. So, but we'll see how this year
Either
goes.
way, I do want to point this out. Because I feel like some people were probably asking how many Utah players were picked in this year's draft. And I did the count. 8 Utah players were selected in this draft. So Super Finn taking Clayton Keller. Frozen Herd taking Dylan Gunther. Homie Do Hockey, Mikhail Sergachev. The Mad Mammoth taking JJ Peterka. No Gretzky's taking Logan Cooley. Octung taking Nick Schmaltz. Not So Cooley taking Barrett Hayton. And then myself, Sparkles HC, taking both Sean Dursey and Jack McBain, which I think both not necessarily the best of picks that I made, but I feel like those are incredibly high risk, high reward, where I feel like in a scenario where hits and blocks matter, I think it's going to make all that much of a difference.
I had Dursey on my list for that round. You just happened to get him 5 places before I was able to pick, but I was going to go with Dursey that round. So that was a good pickup, Robin. It was astute.
Tom and I were talking during the spaces we had. It was a little small little Twitter spaces, but it was funny because I was asking Tom, I was like, has there been any Utah defenseman picked other than Sergachev? And Tom was just like, I don't know. And keep trying.
I don't know, Robin. I haven't even looked. I don't know. I don't have Sean Dursey in my queue. I don't know why you're asking.
But
yeah,
honestly, I feel like those are the ones that made sense to get taken. Lawson Krause, by the way, is actually a free agent. So it could be an interesting pickup off the waiver wire for anybody if you're in our league.
Do you think he's going to turn it around? You never know.
Very well could be worth it, maybe.
Absolutely. So, well, we'll let everybody know. We'll have featured matchups, let you know, who's doing what. And I'm going to brag every week when I win. So, yeah, it'll just be something fun for our Mondays.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't wait to do our matchup. I think we got like 5 or 6 weeks, Tom, until you and I go against each other. But when that happens, then where all hell breaks loose.
No more friendship. It all goes out the window. Robin, have you ever seen Ted Lasso?
I've seen clips. I haven't seen the entire thing.
Okay, so the reference will be lost on you, but anybody who knows Ted Lasso, what I was just about to reference is when Danny and the goalkeeper, I'm trying to think of his name, Zorro, when they end up playing on different international teams, how they treat each other, how Danny gets crazy about it. Yeah, that's how it's going to be that week. I'm going to be Danny Rojas. So, Robin, you better watch Ted Lasso so you know what's coming for you.
All right. Well, I'll take a look at it.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, that'll do it. That'll wrap it up for us. Robin, if folks want to reach out and comment to us on social media, where can they find us?
Yeah, they can find us everywhere on social media at Locked On Mammoth. At Locked On Mammoth. I'm primarily active over on Twitter/X. You can find us over there. You can also reach out to us in the community tab if you really want to, or any of our comments on YouTube. You can check us out there. I'm at Robyn_Leaño. That's Robyn with a Y _Leano. Once again, primarily active over on Twitter/X.
And you can find me on Blue Sky at Tom Talks. Also, I'm on Twitter at Callahan on Air. Hope all of you have an absolutely wonderful day, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks for being a part of Locked On Mammoth.